Hello, I am Joel Bloom at New Jersey Institute of Technology. We pride ourselves on being part of the Newark community and its advancements in technology, the economy, and the growth of the city. That's why we are very proud to partner with the Caucus Educational Corporation to produce Newark at the Crossroads right here on the NJIT campus. We hope you enjoy this special series.
Funding for this special edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato at NJIT has been provided by NJIT, New Jersey Institute of Technology, Investors Bank, Verizon, Prudential Financial's Global Communications Department, the Healthcare Foundation of New Jersey, founded by the Jewish community, RWJ Barnabas Health, and by the North Ward Center. Promotional support provided by NJ.com, Small News, Big News, True Jersey, and by the New Jersey Business and Industry Association.
This is One-on-One. I'm an equal American just like you are.
The jobs of tomorrow are not the jobs of yesterday.
Look at this. You got this?
Here it is, man. Look at that.
Life without dance is boring.
When you first heard that they were doing Charlie Rose and Gayle King, didn't you go, what?
Do you enjoy talking politics?
No.
People call me because they feel nobody's paying attention.
Our culture, I don't think, has ever been tested the way it's being tested right now.
Such a good question. High five.
Steve Adubato here at NJIT at the Jim Wise Theater. It is our honor to introduce two very special guests. We have our good friend Jonathan Schuppe, journalist and author of a compelling book called A Chance to Win. And he is here with a guy or people are meeting for the first time on PBS, Rodney Mason, coach, the Newark Eagles of the Jackie Robinson South Ward Little League. Good to see you guys.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
It's a great story, compelling story. Who is this guy? Now, you're a reporter. We've known you from the Star Ledger, your work as a journalist for a long time. Who's this guy? And then I'll let him tell his own version.
He's an amazing human being, Rodney Mason. He is somebody who I came to know as a reporter at the Star Ledger on the crime beat and working on a story in 2005 about what the emotional and physical toll of gun violence is. And through a mutual acquaintance, I was introduced to Rodney, and he is a gunshot victim, but that does not define him, and that is what his journey taught me, and what I hope to portray in the book is his journey from gunshot victim and somebody who broke laws to somebody who redeemed himself and worked to help children and improve his neighborhood.
So, Rodney, you grew up in the South Ward of the city of Newark.
Right.
Tough neighborhood?
Tough neighborhood.
Crime, violence, drugs, all around you?
Everything.
Yeah. So you wind up getting shot in a situation that's complicated.
Right.
Not worth going into?
All right, we can go into it.
Well, the reality is you are in a wheelchair.
Right.
Cannot walk.
Cannot walk.
You decide you want to be a baseball coach.
Right.
Of little kids.
Right.
Why?
That was my passion. That was my love. You know, I've been, I started off playing Little League Baseball in the early 70s when baseball was real big. And I fell in love with it. It was something that kept me out of trouble, kept me off the streets. And after that, I got into coaching, you know, to help the kids. And
Hold on, that's not you.
Yeah, that's me right
That's
there.
You as a, okay,
yeah, that's
you're a
me
real
as
ball
kid.
player.
Right, a real ball player. And I took my experience to help the kids in the city of Newark, as far as with baseball and as far as with life in general. And so far, so good. It worked out, you know.
How many years have you been doing it?
It's going on approximately 10 years.
Yeah.
10 years.
So it's interesting. So you're dealing drugs.
Right.
You're on the streets.
Right.
Trying to find a way.
Trying to find a way.
What do you tell these kids? How do you talk to these kids about, I mean, it's easy to say, don't do what I did. That's not enough.
No, it's not enough.
So what do you tell them?
I lead by example. I lead by example and show them and tell them that that's not the way to go. And you know, if they wind up doing what I did, it can either get worse, it could be worse rather, or it can be death. You know, it's either or.
How common is death in the neighborhood?
Very common. It's very common. You know, people dying every day. People die every day in the city of Newark.
So you meet this guy.
Right. Right.
And he tells you, I want to coach baseball. I want to be involved in Little League, right? By the way, baseball, as a big baseball fan with young boys who play baseball, and Montclair's not a suburb. You know, they're real suburbs. Montclair's an urban, suburban suburb. But baseball is not huge in the city, let's just say.
Right.
It's tough to find fields. It's tough to get kids involved. He tells you that. Do you buy into it right away?
No, I mean, we had known each other for a few years, so I got this general sense that he wanted to do something to turn his life around and find new purpose. And what I didn't know was his history with baseball personally and his love for it and what it meant to him. All I heard was, I want to coach baseball, and it sounded crazy to me.
Right.
Given Rodney's, the obstacles that he'd have to go through to even get out on the field. I'm intimidated as a father of small children with the idea of coaching baseball. My first thought was what anyone else would think is, how is he going to do this? How's he physically
You mean
going
in
to
a
do this?
wheelchair?
Yeah, and also just you need a lot of experience, not only with the game, but also how to deal with kids, how to deal with parents. It's no small matter, coaching.
What happened when you saw him with
I
kids
was
and the parents?
I was glad that I brought a notebook in my back pocket, so I immediately started taking notes. It was incredible.
What'd you see?
It was crowds of kids, most of whom did not know even what arm they used to throw with, let alone have a glove. They just were there because there was an opportunity to do something with, a lot of them call Rodney Uncle Rock or Coach Rock. He's a figure in the neighborhood that a lot of little kids look up to, and they just came out in droves. And I immediately saw, as a storyteller, that something special was happening here.
What's the story? What is that story, and how much does it go beyond baseball?
It goes way beyond baseball.
What is it?
It's survival. You know, they're survival kids trying to be, you know, they're trying to survive out there. And people, you know, the kids now, they're so vulnerable to gangs and a lot of drug activities. You know, I'm just trying to give a positive perspective instead of the negative perspective that's going on in the city of Newark. And I'm just trying to carry the kids. I'm just trying to carry them on my back, you know.
Say someone says, devil's advocate, someone who's negative.
Right.
Well, that's nice. You got a few kids playing baseball. How much impact do you really have? You say?
I'm happy to say that there's two ways you can look at how to improve a city like Newark.
Yeah.
One is the big personalities, Mayor Booker, Mayor Baraka, Ray Chambers. And then there are the hyper-local efforts that are happening in communities, like what Rodney is doing, that arguably matter as much as the big names and the big fundraising and grants and political opportunities
big
that
buildings.
are talked about. Yes, big buildings downtown. There are, when you go into the neighborhoods, Rodney is one of many people who are doing things on a very small but very local and tangible level with kids trying to change their communities. And my answer to that question is, if there are more Rodneys, things would get a lot better in Newark. There are, yes.
Do you think there are others, a significant number of other folks out there who care to the degree you care and are having a different kind of impact, but powerful impact on those kids that we're talking about who are dealing with such extraordinary challenges, Rodney?
Yeah, it's quite a few. There's quite a few out there that's doing what I'm doing or even doing more, you know.
Why don't we pay enough attention to them? Do we care enough? Do we, everybody else, outside of your community? I mean, I was born in the other end of the city in the North Ward, right?
Okay.
You know, and in Newark, for those who know Newark, the North Ward and the South Ward were two wards in the city about 6 miles away, but about 600 miles away, if you know the city, because neighborhoods didn't connect with each other. But for those who are outside the city, do you think we care enough about those kids in the city?
You know, that's a tough question. You know, I don't want to say yeah, and I don't want to say no.
Do you think we think enough about their futures? That it's our responsibility as well?
I think you do. I think.
You think we do?
Yeah.
You think we do?
I think that we have a long way to go. I think that was the purpose, what I hope to achieve by writing Rodney's story and writing the book, is to have people not only in Newark, but also, most importantly, outside Newark, people who don't know anything about Newark, to understand what's happening.
And do what?
The struggles that are
And do
happening.
what? So they say, no, isn't that great what this Rodney's doing? He's terrific. He's a great guy.
Right.
He's a hero. And then they do what?
You can do a number of things. If you're spurred to some sort of activism, one is to support people, not if Rodney in particular, but also just the general effort to bring more recreation or arts or learning opportunities to kids. You can do something, volunteer or give money or find some way in the limitations of your own life to help. Or you can do it yourself in your own community, depending on where you live. Hopefully, I believe, Rodney's story resonates and inspires people to not only get involved with Newark, but also get involved in their own communities or whatever inner city is near where they live.
What do you want to happen out of this book?
Great things.
Great things?
Great things.
What do you want for these kids?
Kids
that you love.
It's the best quality of life that I can, that can be offered to them. They deserve it.
They do, don't they?
They deserve it. Yeah, they deserve it.
They deserve what all of our kids have, right?
Right.
Listen, I say this to some people.
Right.
I'm going to say it to you right now.
Okay.
On behalf of everyone in the public television community.
Okay.
Thank you for what you do every day. And I ask you, as a devil's advocate question, why don't we spend enough time focusing on people like you? We will do as much as we can to celebrate the work that you and others are doing through this series, Newark at a Crossroads. And I want to thank you, our friend, a great journalist like Jonathan, who brought this to our attention. The book is called A Chance to Win, an ex-con, a Little League team, and the quest to redeem an American city. Jonathan Schuppe. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Rodney.
Thank you.
Keep it up. This guy's got a crazy grip. I can't even explain it to you. Thank you. Stay with us. We'll be right back from NJIT.
To watch more One-on-One with Steve Adubato, find us online and follow us on social media.
Steve Adubato here with our good friend Joe Roth, who is the president and CEO of New Jersey Sharing Network. We are here, Joe, for a special event. This is the dedication. You can see outside. We'll be taking video of this. This is the Landscape of Life Meditation Garden. Long time coming. Describe what it is and why it matters so much.
Well, this is an effort of the staff of the Sharing Network through their employee giving fund to our New Jersey Sharing Network Foundation. And over time, they worked together as a committee to find a way to use this money for the purpose of honoring and recognizing donor families, recipients, and staff. And they came up with the idea of this meditation garden, which is just a most wonderful idea because many times we have families, donor families, or recipients who come here and they visit the office and they want a quiet area to sit and reflect, and this is just the place that it's going to do. It has running water, it has beautiful flowers and benches to sit on and so forth, and we think it's going to be an amazing addition to this great building that we have already.
Let's talk about this a little bit. The place is filling up. There are so many people that are coming to be a part of this dedication. This sharing network is, how many years, Joe?
29. It'll be 30 next year.
And we've been working with the sharing network in terms of public outreach, public awareness about organ and tissue donation. This day means what for this organization?
Well, it's another, part of our growth of this organization and our recognition of those that have made us successful, the donor families who've given who have the donors who've given the ultimate gift of life. It also recognizes those people who are waiting to give them hope for getting a transplant, and also recognizes those who died while waiting, unfortunately, and couldn't get a transplant. And that's where our job still has fallen short, is saving lives of people on the waiting list.
Why do you say falling short, John?
Well, there are still people dying while waiting for an organ, and our job is to try and eliminate all the deaths on the waiting list. And we hope we're making progress on that. As you may know, remember, last year was one of our best years in history. We had a 37% increase in the number of transplanted organs. In 29 years, we never had done that much. So we're making progress, but there are still people who just aren't getting the organ in time, and they do pass away before that happens. And so our goal is to eliminate the deaths on the waiting list.
Talk about some of the folks who will be out here today. We're looking at some of the people who are part of building this extraordinary meditation garden. And by the way, real quick, the design of it, there's a Rutgers student who I think is going to be with us today as part of her master's thesis, designed this garden. Talk about that.
She was in the landscape architecture school. Her name is Muzi Lee. She put together the concept on her own and, with input from us, but this is all the project, it's a New Jersey homegrown effort, and she did a wonderful job. When you see this place, it flows so nicely and the plants just match, and it's all perennials, so it's going to take low maintenance, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful garden. It feels good when you walk in it. It's unbelievable.
And some of the folks who will be here, this is dedicated, this is for all those who have given so much. They have given the gift of life, as been said. There's a lot of cliches out there today, folks. That is not a cliche by any means. We're going to be talking to people today, surviving family members of children as young as 2, 14, 16, older, people who gave the gift of life by being organ and tissue donors. Their families will be meditating out there. It's to honor them, but also to those who received the gift of life. What is it for them, Joe?
Well, for them, it's also a way of recognizing that somebody unfortunately had to give up the ultimate gift of passing away to make an organ available for them to survive, but it's their way of showing appreciation for that gift. The recipients who are volunteers for this organization have been intimately involved in the creation of this beautiful garden for everyone to use for the purposes of meditation and thought and helping bring closure to grief and so on. So today we're going to have a mix of people, as you mentioned. We're going to have donor families who will be represented. We'll have recipients who will be represented. We have people who are waiting who will be here. We'll have
waiting for organs.
Waiting for organs. We'll have people here who've had, like the chairman of my board, Bruce Goldstein, is a heart recipient. He will be here. We'll have members of the foundation board on also. So it'll be a great mix of the family of the Sharing Network, which will be a wonderful afternoon for us too, to celebrate the completion of this garden.
Final question. We're taping this in the heat of summer going into August 2016. Pretty hot outside, and I won't make this political at all. I'll just say that in our country today there's a lot of strife, a lot of division, a lot of people who think it's very difficult, if not impossible, for people to come together. So I would be remiss if I didn't ask you or say to you, Joe, that every time we're together there's this incredible feeling of unity, and people are fighting for, working for one thing, giving the gift of life. Am I making too much of that?
No, you're not at all. If the thing about our organization are our core values. We have dedicated, eager, compassionate, resourceful, and team-focused people, and they all work together to make the mission happen, saving and enhancing lives. And our staff are the most wonderful staff I could put up against any organization in the country. So in this organization, unity is one of the key aspects of our mission and our culture here. So
nobody asked what party you're voting for or against, right?
Yeah, I'm an eclectic pragmatist is what I...
Yeah. Joe, thank you for everything you do and your colleagues at the Sharing Network. And today's a big day, right?
Right. And thank you for all you do, Steve, and your organization. We really appreciate the partnership we've had with you too. So thank you very much.
We do the easy part. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Steve.
To see more one-on-one with Steve Adubato programs, visit us online at steveadubato.org. If you would like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato PhD, and follow us on Twitter at Steve Adubato.
Sakinah Hoyte is Director of Project Connect at Bridges Outreach. Good to see you, Sakina.
Thanks for having me.
What is Project Connect?
Project Connect is a program that we just implemented at Bridges Outreach about 2 years ago. We decided that we wanted to be a little bit more impactful. We've been around for 28 years, doing street outreach, going out into the community, New York City, Newark, Irvington, handing out brown bag lunches, soup, just your necessities to get you through the night.
For people who are homeless?
Yes.
And the number of people who are chronically homeless gone up dramatically in this area.
Yes, tremendously. We're looking at about 126% since last year. In Essex County specifically, we have seen an increase, 47 households, 56 people. Every year, there's a count that's done the last week of January around the country.
Right.
And we found that the numbers have increased.
And so this series of photos we're going to see, these are part of Project Connect.
Yes.
What's the idea behind them?
Well, we have a supporter, Helen Frank. She's an artist and well-known artist in the community. She decided that we should put together an art program for our homeless clients. And so we partnered with the Newark Arts Council and also photographer Akintola Hanif. He is in charge of the magazine High Side,
Right.
Newark. Yes, and so he taught our clients how to take photographs.
And so, by the way, we were just looking at the St. John's Soup Kitchen, which is where you're located, right?
Yes.
Team, we have more photos to show? Let's show a couple other photos if we could, okay? As we're showing these photos, this is what they see.
This is through their lens.
That's Newark Penn Station, I know that well. Mm-hmm. And they're living there?
Living there. This is their community. These are people that they invest their time with and that help them to get through the hard times.
You said to me before we got on the air, Sakina, that you truly believe, as we look at these pictures, that if we wanted to, we could eliminate homelessness.
Absolutely.
How?
Absolutely. There are cities throughout the United States that are making incredible strides in ending homelessness. Housing First, I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but basically the idea is that you take a homeless individual, instead of putting them in a shelter and then transitioning them to transitional housing, you just put them into housing. And then you wrap around all of the services that they need. There's a cost benefit to it. In Kansas City, they did a study in 2014. They housed over 100 people, homeless individuals, people with substance abuse issues, people with mental health illness, and then they provided services. They saved about $150 per person. If you're living on the street, you're using ambulance services,
right.
Sometimes jail, going to the hospital.
Emergency room.
Emergency
Very
room.
expensive.
Very expensive, rather than just putting people in permanent housing, supportive housing, where you save so much money every day.
What is New Jersey not doing right?
New Jersey needs to coordinate their homeless service efforts. In these successful cities, they have come together, all of the homeless service providers, to work together to coordinate services so everyone is getting offered all of the services equally. It's not up to the case managers to decide who can be successful. And again, they're offering housing first. We need affordable housing here. We need the funding to be focused on just housing people rather than getting them through the shelters, taking them through transitional housing. Just reallocating that money to get them into housing.
Sakina, I've often wondered this. For those of us around the holidays who try to do what we can do, we visit, whether it's St. John's or Salvation Army, whatever, it doesn't matter where, but you do what you can do around the holidays and you say, oh, wow, look at the number of people who are homeless and they're there for a meal. And then you say, who is homeless? Who winds up being homeless? Mm-hmm. A, who are they? B, is that demographic changing?
The demographic is changing drastically. Years ago, the focus was on single men. Now we're seeing women with children, adolescents, youth. That's huge right now. And, the people that are falling into homelessness are people like you and I.
Is it one paycheck away? I hear that expression.
Away.
Make that clear, because that sounds like a cliche to a lot of people, Sakina.
There are individuals that lose their jobs and they don't have enough savings to get them to the next paycheck. They don't have enough savings to get them to the next month's rent, to the next mortgage, and that's what catapults them into homelessness.
Sometimes when I ask this question, it doesn't sound the right way. Do we, the rest of us, who have means and the ability to make a difference, do we care enough about the homelessness, those who are homeless?
I think that we've been desensitized as a community. I think that we are are used to seeing homeless individuals on the street and sort of turning the other
Isn't
cheek.
that terrible?
Yeah.
Isn't that so sad? If we wanted to make a difference, sorry for interrupting, what could we do to make a difference right now?
Right now, basically what Bridges stands for is connecting the housed and the home and the community that are homeless together to establish relationships. So just seeing someone on the street and just saying hello is one step closer to making yourself more aware of those that are around you and opening your eyes to how you can participate in the change. To
Turning
end
your head is
homelessness.
not the answer.
No.
Saying, oh, that's so terrible, that's not the answer.
Yeah. And that creates in your mind just the thoughts that there's no way to end homelessness. You know?
It's not hopeless.
It's not hopeless.
Keep doing what you're doing. Sakinah Hoyte, Director of Project Connect at a great organization, Bridges Outreach. Keep it up. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Stay right there.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this special edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato at NJIT has been provided by NJIT, Investors Bank, Verizon, Prudential Financial's Global Communications Department, the Healthcare Foundation of New Jersey, RWJ Barnabas Health, and by the North Ward Center. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area. One-on-One with Steve Adubato at NJIT has been produced in cooperation with FiOS One News.
I think at NJIT there are a lot of smart students.
I came to NJIT for mechanical engineering because within state it's one of probably the top 3 schools for engineering.
It sort of creates a friendly competition where you can learn from them.
It's a great academic school.
I feel I'm being challenged, but at the same time I love the classes I'm taking.
The atmosphere of being here is like being at an upstart company. It's that same kind of drive, that same kind of passion.